The reading of the book William Tyndale by uh, Fran Rees. Sorry about that, guys. I forgot her name. Anyways, the continuation of the reading of the book of William Tyndale by Fran Rees. We are starting in chapter 2 today. Okay. Here is a picture of the area that he grew up in, which was near the let's see, castle in Northumberland, England. Okay. Anyways, it was no. Anyways, I think it was Gloucestershire, but we'll find out as we read in this chapter. Okay. But here is the castle, and this is the beautiful landscape that Tyndale grew up in. Okay. Just to give you an idea of how he was, the kind of way he was raised. He was raised upper middle class, maybe even rich. Chapter 2. Extraordinary Student. No one knows exactly where William Tyndale was born. It was somewhere near Slimbridge, Gloucestershire, England, near the border of Wales. No one is sure about the date of birth either, but it was probably in about 1494. The first names of his parents are unknown. His family's name was first said to be Hutchins. Sometimes it was also spelled all these different ways you can see. Hutchins, Hitchens, or Hutchins. Later it was revealed that the family name was actually Tyndale. Also spelled Tyndale or Tyndale, but you can see the spellings. The family was descended from Hugh de Tyndale, Baron of Langley Castle in Northumberland, England. The story goes that Hugh de Tyndale fled to the south from Northumberland during the Wars of the Roses in 1455 to 1487 and changed his name to Hutchins for safety. On his deathbed, however, he revealed to his children that his true name was Tyndale. Young William spent his childhood in the Vale of Berkeley, a lush rural area of England in the gentle hills called the Cotswolds. There were quiet valleys full of crops and sheep. Clear streams ran through the hills. Attractive stone buildings nestled among the green fields. Gardens blooming with flowers trimmed the sturdy, well-planned houses. As a young boy, William may have climbed up Stincombe Hill and looked over the hills and valleys that stretched far away into several counties. In the distance towered Berkeley Castle, where England's King Edward II had been killed in 1327. William belonged to a large family that was highly respected, locally and well known even in London. They were wealthy and influential. William's brothers, Edward and John, were powerful businessmen in the area. Edward was the collector of the crown rents, an important government position that made sure citizens paid a type of English tax. John organized the sale of cloth in the area and in London. In the Vale of Berkeley, people were proud of the region's lively trade in wool and other cloth. Weekly cloth markets in the area drew people from far and near. There were plenty of local fairs and events to keep people busy and entertained. About half the population worked in the cloth industry. Men and women and children spent hours each day raising sheep, shearing them for wool, spinning thread, and preparing the finished cloth. Wool cloth was then taken to local, national, and international markets, where it was used to make clothing, blankets, and other goods. People in many different professions were needed to produce and sell all the cloth that was made in the area. They were shepherds, shearers, carriers, market officials, wool merchants, mill owners, spinners, weavers, dyers, and more. And here's a picture of some young men taking care of the sheep and shearing the wool, and even a man that looks like he's walking with a cane, but I think he's like the shepherd, or he's overseeing the shearing of the wool, which of course he would do if he was a shepherd, because he has to make sure his sheep are not getting hurt. Even though William lived in rural England, it was not cut off from the rest of the world. Several trade and travel routes connected the area to many other parts of England. William learned much about the world from a variety of people who traveled throughout the region. He heard people speaking many different languages when he was growing up, in addition to his own native English. William was used to hearing the melodious Welsh language spoken by the people in the nearby country of Wales. In school, he learned Latin and became familiar with many other dialects or versions of English. Living on a trade route gave him opportunities to learn many things. William was an extraordinary student and took advantage of the excellent education available at his grammar school called Wotton-under-Edge. Languages came easily for him. By the age of 10, he could read Latin. Okay, there's a little side note that I want to share. Oxford University in Oxford, England, is the oldest English-speaking university in the world. Teaching at Oxford began as early as 1096. It rapidly developed after 1167, when England's King Edward II banned English students from attending the University of Paris. Bible translator John Wycliffe, from 1320 to 1384, attended Oxford University more than 130 years before William Tyndale studied there. Wycliffe worked to translate parts of the Bible into the language of the common people, and often challenged the teachings of the Roman Catholic Church. After his death, the Catholic Church declared him a heretic, dug up his body, and burned his remains. Wycliffe's followers were called Lollards. Okay, so now that by the age of 12, William was finished with grammar school. He left the beautiful warm country of Gloucestershire. Forgive me, you who are from England, if I am pronouncing these wrong. Sorry, I just ain't good at this. And went to the city of Oxford, England, to attend Oxford University as a college student. He would blossom into a talented, hard-working scholar. Here's a picture, and there's a little note there that explains the picture. A typical grammar school in the 16th century England would have looked like this. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go on to chapter 3. And we've got a picture here. And looks like, bishops and priests and stuff like that. And a backdrop of the church, I believe. Okay. William Tyndale attended college with about 1,000 other students at Oxford University, all of them boys. He lived in one of the small dormitories called houses or homes with about 20 other students. The boys in each house formed a kind of family, with everyone eating together in a central hall and living on the same schedule. Along with his classmates, William rose every day at 5 a.m. for a religious Roman Catholic service. Before the morning lecture at 6 a.m., a bell or horn sounded at about 11 a.m. to announce the first meal of the day. Another bell rang after 5 p.m. for the evening supper. Before going to bed, students sang a religious chant, a song in Latin using just one or two musical tones. The atmosphere was one of family studies and religious worship. It says down here in the bottom, most graduates of Oxford University became priests in the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, here's another picture. Okay, and it says, King's College at Cambridge University was founded in 1441 by England's King Henry the Sixth. Tyndale attended Cambridge after his studies at Oxford. William spoke only Latin at the university. He was not allowed to speak his native English, since it was looked down upon for well-educated scholars to speak anything but Latin. It was required language at Oxford. Students could only speak English in the halls during feasts and holidays. According to William, the classes at Oxford, okay, now this is Cambridge, the picture, okay? The classes at Oxford were dull and unchallenging. He thought students should be allowed to think more freely. Most of his classes were about religion and the Bible, and he often disagreed with what his teachers taught. He finished his classes and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree on July 4th, 1512. 3 years later, he earned his Master's of Arts degree. Okay, now they believe he lived in 1492. I'm just going to kind of throw in my own thing here. In 1512, he got his Bachelor of Arts degree. So if we do the math and figure it out, okay, that would be that he was 20 years old when he received his Bachelor of Arts degree. When he was 23, he received his master's degree. In 1516, William went to Cambridge, England, where he attended Cambridge University for further studies in religion. There he studied, Greek, the language of the original New Testament portion of the Bible. It wasn't long before he was able to read the New Testament in Greek. William met many students and teachers at Cambridge who discussed new ways of thinking about life and religion. Tyndale was living during a time when the world was changing in many ways. Ever since Johannes Gutenberg finished his printing press in the 1450s, knowledge and books had spread through Europe more quickly than ever before in history. Printing workshops had sprung up all over Europe. Thinkers and writers could. Okay, I'll have to come back to that sentence because there's a little side note. In the 1450s, Johannes Gutenberg, 1398 to 1468, finished his printing press. Books could now be mass-produced instead of individually handwritten. The first book ever printed using the printing press was the Bible in Latin, often called Gutenberg's Bible. Printing brought with it the ability for new religious and social ideas to spread rapidly throughout Europe. People clamored to read, and books sold quickly. Okay, the last line here. Thinkers and writers could now print and sell books on many different subjects. Okay, now this is where people are getting things printed. But I'm going to read the little note about the picture. Johannes Gutenberg's mass printing of the Latin Bible paved the way for the printing of 19 million books over the next 45 years. Okay, here is them working on printing it. I guess the Latin Bible maybe. But it's just a picture showing how it worked. Anyways, more and more people were reading books filled with facts and information they had never known before. This period of time came to be called the Renaissance, a word that means rebirth. It was a new beginning of ideas, art, science, and exploration. Many new ideas were exchanged about religion, and people started questioning what they had always been taught by their religious leaders. People also started striving for excellence in many areas. The new thinkers of the Renaissance, or the Renaissance man, as individuals were called, encouraged people to develop their human abilities to their fullest and expand their learning in all subjects. Even religious leaders had new ideas during this period. Some of them dared to disagree with and criticized the teachings and traditions of the centuries-old Roman Catholic Church. Some even questioned the Church's supreme leader, the Pope. Mass printing allowed them to spread their teachings to a lot of people and build a following of others who agreed with them. The Catholic Church didn't approve of people who questioned the Church or tried to radically change it. Some reformers were arrested and tried for heresy. Their punishment was death, usually by burning at the stake. This religious movement came to be called the Protestant Reformation. At Cambridge, Tyndale met many religious reformers, especially those who were influenced by a group in England called the Lollards, which were followers of Wycliffe. This group followed the teachings of John Wycliffe, who had translated portions of the Bible into English. Lollards wandered about the English countryside, preaching that changes should be made in the Roman Catholic Church. As a result, they were severely persecuted. Here's a picture, it says, of John Wycliffe, 1320 to 1384. He was an early supporter of reform in the Roman Catholic Church, which, by the way, was before Martin Luther. A lot of people like to say that he was the first reformer, which he wasn't. And punished in England, many of them had been burned at the stake for their beliefs. In the early 1500s, a German Catholic priest named Martin Luther also began preaching against the principles of the Roman Catholic Church. Luther disagreed with the sale of indulgences, official documents signed by the Pope that promised the forgiveness of sins. Church leaders were teaching that people could pay money for their spiritual salvation. They could even pay to have the sins of dead relatives forgiven. In 1517, the year after Tyndale went to Cambridge University, Luther posted a list of 95 complaints against the Roman Catholic Church. He nailed them to the door of the Church of Wittenberg in eastern Germany. They came to be called Luther's 95 Theses. Tyndale agreed with many of these new religious ideas that were being discussed. He shared some of the ideas of the Lollards and agreed with Luther in many ways. In spite of his questions and doubts about the church, he was ordained or officially appointed a Roman Catholic priest in 1521. Another side note that I want to get to. In 1517, Martin Luther began lecturing at Wittenberg University in Wittenberg, Germany. The door of Castle Church, where there was a kind of bulletin board where professors and students posted topics they wanted to discuss. When Luther nailed his 95 complaints against the Roman Catholic Church to the church door, he didn't plan to start a religious revolution. His intent was to stir debate. Okay, last word here. But he would be a priest in name only. He never served as a priest in a Catholic church. In 1522, Tyndale left Cambridge. He was about 27 years old. It was time to move on and get a job. He returned to the English countryside to become a tutor at the home of John Walsh, a Gloucestershire landowner. But he didn't leave his new ideas and his changing beliefs at Cambridge. What he learned there had altered his thinking and would affect him for the rest of his life. Okay, a little note about this picture is Martin Luther nailed his complaints against the Roman Catholic Church to the door of the Castle Church in Wittenberg, Germany in 1517. Okay, now I'm going to stop there for tonight. Next we will be reading about Chapter 4. William Tyndale was famous for making a comment about the boy that drives the plow. So, next reading will be for the next 2 chapters. Until then, I hope you enjoyed the reading that I have done. This is purely for entertainment and educational purposes only. I do not own this material, so I'm putting out the disclaimer on it. I'm just simply reading the book. You can look up the name of the book, William Tyndale by Fran Rees, and you could probably find it and be able to purchase it. if you would like. I think this is a good book. It's more directed towards young people, and that it doesn't do a whole lot of scientific type thing, but I think it's a good one to have around for your children to read. I know people get into the digital thing, but I like books still. So until the next time, that's where I'm going to leave off with chapters 2 and 3, and we're going to start off with chapter 4 hopefully tomorrow. Okay, so yes, this is the next chapter, The Boy That Drives the Plow. So until next time, God bless you all, and thank you so much for listening to me read to you about William Tyndale. So, and here's another portrait of William Tyndale. Okay? So until the next time, God bless you all. Lord, give them the wisdom to understand what you want them to know about the life of William Tyndale, one of your saints who was martyred for your name and for the great work he did for you and for each and every one of us. Thank you so much, Lord. And let us rise up and be like William Tyndale in these last days. Thank you so much, everybody. God bless. Take care. Bye.